Gopal, if I remember right, you did the 1936 tour of England, and I've read somewhere that you had to make a choice between going to Berlin to play hockey in the Olympics and going to England to play cricket for the Indian team. What made you finally decide in favor of cricket?
The decision was made by my manager, Mr. C.P. Johnson. At the time when I got an invitation to play for India in hockey, I had taken this invitation letter to my manager, then Mr. W. Browning. It was not recommended by my officer under whom I was working, and he said, if Gopalan goes away for hockey for so many months, the possibility of the department getting dislocated. Therefore, I suggest not to grant him leave. The letter went straight to a manager who called me in turn and asked me, are you really going to New Zealand to represent India in hockey? I said yes. Your officer said you didn't recommend that you may be given a leave to go to New Zealand because of the department. And he said I had to stick on to my assistant. Therefore, I had to say no. He said sorry. Therefore, I had to come down. Without informing anyone in the office, I have accepted the invitation saying that I'd be joining the team at Madras at such a date and such a time. You'll be surprised to know from me how I got a chance to play for India in hockey. When 1932 team came to Madras on the way to Amsterdam to play the Olympic match, I was playing centre off. All the while, the selector selected one player from Bangalore to play in my place. That was Audie Deniston. He asked me if I could play on the right off, giving a place to Bangalore centre off. I told him I had no objection. Then we played the match. It was a very exciting match. Within 5 minutes we scored the first goal, gave a pass to one of my right extremes. He scored the goal. We were leading, say about 20 minutes before the close of the game. Then Pankaj Gupta was one of the umpires. When the crowd was marking, he was replying to them, you better wait and see. That team contained the wizard Dhyan Chand and his brother Roop Singh and Joffa left extreme and the car right extreme. Penija centre off. I'm sure when you could compare that team with the present team, I can't match up the present team now. I have bottled Roop Singh and Gardner. They were not able to pass me and they were not able to score any goal from left side. Therefore, Dhyan Chand was so clever, he immediately changed the all passes to be done on the right side. Within 10 minutes, by passing balls on the right side, they scored more than what we had scored and won the match. I did so well, and then on the return match, we played that match in the South Indian Athletic Association's ground. That match also I played well. After the Indian team dispersed, they want to have a trial match at Calcutta to select a team to go to New Zealand and Australia. I got an invitation to take part in the trial matches. I replied saying that my office couldn't give leave, said sorry for attending the trial matches. Having said so, it was very surprised to me. One day I got a letter from them that I have been selected to go with the hockey team to New Zealand, Australia, leaving Madras on such a date. That was an invitation letter I had taken to my boss, who said the leave cannot be granted. I was patiently waiting. Again, after 20 days, I sent a letter requesting him to consider my case, saying not only it will take a good state for me, it will more advertisement for Burma Shell. If you could give me leave, I'll go and play. What happened, the same officer under whom I was working and the gentleman who said you can't go, he himself took that application to the manager and then he has recommended the case. Mr. Brownie called me into his room. Here, yes, Gopalan, you can go. But one thing is certain, it will be a precedent if you are going to come back for another purpose. Because the others might take their advantage, they might mention about this precedent. The hockey chap or football chap will come or badminton chap will come. I had to say, I can't say no because of this. I told him, yes sir, I agree for your order. But one thing I can tell you, sir, that if I could get any other invitation other than hockey, I'm going to come to you. If you say okay, I'll accept. If you say no, I'll regret it.
Well, I'm sure even if there was a precedent, it was a good precedent to allow somebody to go and tour or play for his country, and it would do any institution a lot of good.
But one thing, Gopi, I mean, after I came from the tour, I was so true to Burma Shell. Though many firms and government officers approached me to join the firms, I said no. Because my office, Burma Shell, is so kind and give me encouragement to go all over India. And now I come back, it doesn't mean that I had to leave my Burma Shell and join the other firms. I got stuck up to one firm till I retired.
I think that was a very good thing and a matter of great principles. Now, Gopal, I'd like to come back again to cricket. With you being in both hockey and cricket, it's very difficult to confine oneself to either this game or that. Now, I'd like to come back to cricket because I would like to ask you something about the 1936 English tour, which was your tour to England. And we all have read many accounts of this tour, and it was a controversial tour, if I might use that word, when the talked about Amarnath incident took place. It's many years have gone by since then, so I suppose it doesn't matter that we could discuss this. Can you tell us what exactly happened and how did it come to such a situation of us sending a player back from a tour? I'm talking of the 1936 tour to England,
yes,
where you are a member of that side.
Yeah.
And as I gather, that sort of, this incident took place, which has been read about in quite a lot of books and so on. What exactly happened there?
I like to tell you that, but at the same time, it is very embarrassing to talk about ill of one good cricketer. What happened when the team we played, all Madras played in the Ranji match finals against Bombay at Delhi. We played 6 days. After finishing the match, we went to Bhopal. When Maharaja of Bhopal was the president of the Cricket Control Board, we stayed there, and then we went to Bombay. Then we got into a boat called Viceroy of India. It was a very good side. They had chosen a very good side. And I noticed a lot of difference even during the journey in the boat. I mean, those days, the olden days, we used to go by ship, the mail boat. Good about 6 or 8 days, good journey, and we enjoyed ourselves. We used to be very fit, and we had all kind of games on top of the deck. When I found the difference, even during the journey, even what happened, We played Middlesex. India played Middlesex.
This was at Lord's.
At Lord's. Very fast scoring. And the captain wanted to force the pace. Amanaz was on pad to go as one down. Mustaq and William Merchant, they have scored so much. Very, very huge score. He wanted to force the pace before declaring. Therefore, he asked Amar Singh to put on pads. I couldn't remember fully. So that the run rate may be increased. He asked to go in, asking Amarnath to stop. That made Amarnath to lose his temper. Once match was ended in the dressing room, I mean, it was a little bad behavior. But before he left India to England, we had to sign a contract saying manager and the captain got the right to pull us off if you go out of the way. I mean, the way in which he did it there, I mean, it looked a little bit, but at the same time, we had a meeting what to do with that incident. During that time, we said we have nothing to say in this matter. It is up to the manager and the captain. They decided to send Amarnath, top-class player. Before that incident, he scored 100 in every innings against Sussex. It was really a bad luck. Of course, can't go out of the way in which everybody started remarking about that incident. Therefore, the manager and the captain had to take a severe step.
Well, it was unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Such an Indian team losing a dependable, mostly a backbone of a team. I mean, very difficult.
Particularly when he was scoring a lot of runs. Now, on your English tour, when you went there, how did you find the weather, the wickets, and how were you able to adapt your bowling to those conditions?
It was not very cold too, and I was able to adjust myself, though I played very little matches there. We used to go with the team, and then before the match starts, we used to have a net practice, just about half an hour, 1 hour before the start of the match. Therefore, it kept me very fit.
As you so well know the English conditions, when you did bowl there, were you able to swing the ball a lot there compared to Madras?
Yes, but as I already told you, I mean, I was not able to say I was bowling in swing or out swing, though I was bowling. But I have developed very well after I came back to India. It has helped me a lot. But the weather and the turf, it has helped a lot.
I suppose what you saw and learnt in England,
put them into practice.
Yes, putting that into practice, and you came back to be a much improved player, I suppose. And Gopal, can you tell us which was the first Test match that you played?
In the year 1933-34, when Jordan's team came here with Clark and Barnett, Bakewell, and all sorts of chaps. I played the first Test match at Calcutta in 1933-34. Before the Test match, we played in All India side against that team, which was captained by, I think, C.K. Naidu. And we did well, and I did bowl also, which for me a place in the All India team, first match, 1934, at Calcutta.
Well, what do you consider your best performance in Test cricket in all the matches that you have played?
I consider bowling was very good then. I was bowling all right, and fielding very, when you play along with a good cricketers, you always have such an encouragement to do very well. It makes you do very well. Particularly in Calcutta, by 4:30, 5 o'clock, it is so, you don't have proper light, noise and everything. And when Nisar is a very good fast bowler. And if you could compare with Kapil Dev, Nisar is much faster than Kapil Dev. And if you could, I used to stand very close to the wicket. When Nisar bowls, we can hear the sound, because he's a little well-built chap. And we can hear the sound running to the wicket, dum dum. And you see, when he bowls, you can see the hissing noise of the ball when it travels in the air. And one ball, the Barnett hit a ball. I was fielding in the mid-off. He hit it straight over the mid-off. I had to run back, with 10 to 15 yards, and I held a catch in a misty weather. It was very nice. I can remember about that incident.
Yes, it's amazing. Some of these things, even if it's only a catch, I mean, it lives in one's memory because of...
very, very difficult. It went so high, particularly when there was not much of a light to judge and catch it. Somehow I had to run on the backside and then got it.
Yeah, the Calcutta smog that starts even at 5 o'clock makes it very dark there.
Yes.
Well, Gopal, I thought perhaps we could get closer home and talk a little bit about your Ranji Trophy matches. I mean, the matches you played for Madras for so many years. Can you give us some interesting incidents or your performance in the Ranji Trophy matches for Madras? I think you must have played Ranji Trophy for Madras perhaps over a period of about 25 years or so.
Yes. I played from 1934 to 52. I played all the matches I played either at home or away. And some of the matches we lost, some of the matches we won. And nearly about 10 to 12 matches I kept in the All Madras side in the absence of C.P. Johnson. I mean, Johnson used to, those days we had a combined team, not like the present Indian team alone. And during his absence I used to captain. One match I played, when I played against UP, we were doing very well, and then the last wicket, mostly all the Ranji matches, myself and Ram Singh used to do a lot. Particularly there used to be very low score when 2 down, 3 down. And then I always go up at 5 down, and then we both used to score well, bring the score in a reasonable. And it so happened all the batsmen failed. I was there with 55 or 60 runs. And Rangachari, C.R. Rangachari was the last batsman to come and play with me. It so happened every ball I had to shield him, and surprised to hear from me that I scored 100, 101 not out. And myself, Rangachari, used to run very well. Every last ball I used to shield him and take singles. And that was a match I cannot forget. It was a very thrilling match for me. And Palya was bowling. I can easily hit a 6. And he was bowling, his trajectory was not so high, little low. I hit a ball off Palya. It went straight to the screen and hit the screen. 6.
And did Madras win that match?
Yes, we won the match.
With the last pair batting?
Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder you can't forget that match.
Yeah.
Because it's a great achievement to have a tail ender and try and farm the bowling and make 100 runs. I think it's...
See, as a matter of fact, I didn't think for a moment that I must score 100 and I get a name. But mostly whenever I play for the team and play for the state or play for the club. That is the idea I had when I was playing.
Well, you tried to win the match.
I tried to win the match.
Didn't matter what you scored. That's typical of the period and of the time, I think. Gopal, I remember, as I say, one of the earliest matches that I've seen you play against a touring side was against the West Indies in 1949. I think you played for South Zone, if I remember right.
Yes, correct.
And you had some remarkable performance in that match when all those stalwarts from West Indies and Trim and Jones and I think it was Goddard's 11, is it?
Goddard's 11.
Goddard's
Yes.
11. Can you remember this?
I can't forget that. That is the only occasion when I thought of scoring 100. He gave me that one of West Indies bowler, Atkinson. He gave me nice off volley on the offside. I'm supposed to play offside shots well. He gave me an off volley. Every time and sent him straight over the middle of head for 4. 2 fours consecutively gave me very good confidence. After that, anything I was doing correctly. Till I gave a catch to Krishiani when I was about 64. That is the only match I thought of scoring 100, and no other occasions whenever I scored 50, 60 or 70 in league matches, I didn't think for a moment that I would score. But that was the only occasion I scored 64 and got out. Only occasion I thought about scoring 100. Though I scored about 19 runs against Tennyson's team, I got out leg before for Pope. And when I came to the pavilion, my captain was C.P. Johnson, said, MG, Gop, and it's all right. You have played very well, and 98 is as good as scoring more than 100 runs. Take it easy, he said. Thank you, sir, simply said. Because he was my boss, you know. But you see, as long as the field, he's a very good man. When he goes out of the field, when he's in the office, he's a boss.
I see.
He treats me very well. I mean, as a matter of fact, every officer and Marshal, they showed me very kind.
But how did Burmashal actually encourage you a lot in your sporting activities?
Yes, but there was no difficulty at all. Whenever I asked for leave, go for a cricket match or hockey match at North Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, they granted me leave. And during that period, I was supposed to be on duty. That's the occasion they used to.
Well,
any number of days I was taking it. They didn't mind it.
I think that's the least one can do. Well, that's interesting, and I think after that, again, as I say, these matches are some that I can remember. There was the Silver Jubilee side that came in 1954. I think you again played for the South Zone against the Silver Jubilee side, isn't it?
No, 1954 Silver Jubilee match was played on my team.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Now I remember that.
You see, 25 years
that's
of
right.
service
Oh.
in cricket and hockey, they have celebrated Silver Jubilee.
Oh yes,
I mean,
I remember
Madras
that.
was
It was a Silver Jubilee for Gopalan.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I remember
Correct.
that because I played
So-
that match and I got 100 in that match.
Yes, and we invited many people from outside also, even Pakistan also, and Ceylon team. We played against Ceylon team, very good side.
Yes, I remember this match. It was played at Che Park.
Of
And
course.
it was a very nice match, and particularly for me because I got this 100. And I think that is when the idea of a Gopalan trophy was born, isn't it?
Yes. But that idea came in during the time of when I got that hat trick against Ceylon team too. I think most probably the late B. Pratap Brown must have had in his mind a cup should be given on his name. Therefore, I think it was appropriate time when the Silver Jubilee was conducted, and they have given the cap. And that match used to be played 1 year in Madras, another year, next year in Colombo. That's how we were playing it.
Yes, I remember this. Gopal, now I would like to ask you about your contemporaries, the great names, people that have played. We already talked about C.K. Naidu and his, your respect and for his ability and so on. Are there anybody else that you can remember as being really played
Good.
some great innings or doing something in bowling?
Wazir Ali, he was there. Then Wazir Ali, Nasir Ali, Amirillahi, slow bowler, and CK, Vijay Merchant. We can't forget about Vijay Merchant. Mustaq Ali is a great player. C.S. Naidu. I had my own liking with those chaps.
Any foreign players that you can remember, or any outstanding?
For the olden days, that is when I saw Tate, the way in which he was bowling. I mean, I admired his bowling. And Davidson and Clark. Davidson is the left hand, the Clark.
Yes, Clark
great
is a
bowler.
very well-known name. Now, before, that was your playing days. Tell me, can you tell me, going back to club cricket, you played for TCC all your life. I mean, can you think of any very exciting match for at that level, league matches for the TCC that either your performance or some exciting victories or anything like that for TCC?
Yes. One of the matches we were playing in Marina against Emmanuel Club, Madras Emmanuel Club. I was batting, I was playing well. And to take the opponent's wicket, second night somebody, he hit a ball, it was going towards the boundary line. That the ball was going very slowly. One of my fieldsmen, what happened, he kicked the ball outside so that the chap may be given 4. The batsman may not cross the thing, he'll stick on. Because the next batsman will have to face me so that I can take his wicket. That's the occasion, and when I got a chance of bowling against that chap, I got his wicket. I went to match. That is the occasion when the umpire, that happened, they gave a penalty also.
I see. Now, finally, Gopal, tell us When did you retire from active cricket?
19 from 34 to 52, I have captained the state team, and then I have scored many runs. I scored about more than 50 wickets during that period, and scored more than 1,000 runs. And after 1952, I stopped playing that.
But of course, it wouldn't be
Well,
fair,
it was a
fair
long-
to compare present day and those days, because I think if I remember right, those days it was all on knockout basis.
Yes.
So if your team lost the first match, that was the
Finished.
end of the Ranji Trophy for that year.
Correct. That is the chance. See, not like now the league matches being played number of times. So everyone has got a chance to coming up. So one match there is a possibility of the chap failing, and then he can come up the next match. And when we had these matches, knockout, as you said, it was a knockout matches. Even the good side by bad play, we get beaten. Then our chances are out.
Yes, this is why I say all comparisons of players or their performance is not really relevant, because the type of systems of test
Correct.
matches or even Ranji Trophy is so different that you can't compare the past with the present really,
No.
from scores and
Correct.
statistics.
Correct.
Gopal, one point which I wanted to ask you, which I seem to have missed out earlier on, and that was an inquiry that was held in India after you returned from the 1936 tour to England. I think it was called the Beaumont Inquiry. Can you tell us what this inquiry was about, and why? In fact, I think all the players who were on the tour were called to give evidence. Can you give us some information or some on what this inquiry was?
Inquiry they had arranged in Bombay to be held on arrival of Indian team from England, because of their performances in England they thought was so failure. Therefore they wanted to ask every player's opinion so that they may be able to take some action on that. For that, as soon as we arrived from England, we went straight to the Taj Mahal Hotel. We were staying there for a couple of days, and to my surprise, one fine morning, Secretary of the board came to my room and told me that I was not given proper chances to play, and your game has been disturbed too much. What is the reason? Was it due to bad captaincy, or purposely you didn't give you the chance? Then I kept quiet. I didn't answer him. I'll be able to tell him and then go for the meeting. Then he immediately left off. We had that meeting. The inquiry, first the Beaumont asked me what was the reason for the debacle we had at England. At the time when the captain was elected, Maharaj Kumar of Vijayanagaram, everybody knew about his standard or capacity. A man not properly kept in that position, you know fully well, Maharaj doesn't have that standard. Though he was selected, the players and our duty to support him. We can't let down any captain. Particularly, a weak captain has got a good side. If the good side, the playing members give full support to the captain, even a bad captain also will become a popular man. And a very good captain, in the players doesn't give the cooperation with the captain, in no time the captain also get a bad name, just like Vijayanagaram. Because all due to these players didn't give a proper cooperation to Vijayanagaram when we were in England. That is the reason we were not able to do much as expected by the selectors or by Indian authorities. And one thing, but I told the Beaumont that it was the fault of the players, not the captains. And they were not playing as expected by everyone. Therefore, we can't put the whole blame on captain. There may be some flaw also in his captaincy. Therefore, we can't let down a man having known about his capacity. That is my honest opinion. And after the meeting, I came back to Madras. In one of the matches, Mr. C.B. Johnson met me in Chepak Pavilion and he congratulated me, saying, "MJ, you have done very well. You have said the truth. You are a real sportsman." I was so glad to hear such kind of remark from my top man.
Yes, I think that's a very remarkable thing, because quite often when a team does badly, one tends to transfer all the blame and everything to other people, whoever they can get hold of. So I think it, as you pointed out, whether either for good or for whatever it might be, to support a captain is a very basic trait, and it is really heartening to hear that even in the inquiry you gave a very true picture of what happened. Gopal, now coming back, can you tell us, after your playing days, we all know you served on the National Selection Committee. When did you actually join the National Selection Committee, and when you joined, who were the other members of this committee?
I was elected to be one of the selectors for the Indian team for All India Cricket in the year 1959, 60 and 61. I served as a selector for 3 years. Along with me, we had Mr. Hazare, Hemu Adhikari, Dattarai from Calcutta. And Mr. Lala Amarnath was the chairman then. I got the good news when I was in Coimbatore. I went there on office work. When I was in Coimbatore, some of my good friends, they got the news over the radio saying that I was selected as one of the selectors. They came and congratulated me. Then I left for Madras. When I arrived at Central Station, to my surprise, Hindu authorities, they were waiting for me to give air passage, informing me that they have made arrangements for me to go to Bombay to attend the meeting. The only thing, I had to go to my office, get the permission, and got it in no time. Those days, the Hindu had their own plane through which they used to send the papers, even though they must be doing the same thing. They were so kind enough to send me in that plane. I reached Bombay in time to attend the meeting.
You said Amarnath was the chairman of this committee. I think you served for 3 years, did you?
Yeah.
And tell me, how did you like being on the National Selection Committee?
I liked it. At the start with, I found it a little bit difficult because I didn't know much about the other members. Lala Amarnath, they used to bring a very big notebook which will contain the names of cricketers. We sit together and they discuss about good and bad about individuals. We also discuss about the good chaps. And he used to ask, those days South, West and North, East like that. I represented South. I used to give some of our good players and he used to make a note in his notebook. The same way from Dattarai, same thing from Adhikari, like that, and Hazare. Then finally, he will go through one after another. And during selection committee, we used to have a lot of discussions about the individuals. I had to fight so hard to get about 3 people from South, that is from Madras, Kripal Singh, Milkha Singh, Vivek Kumar. All our 3 players played in Delhi Test against Pakistan. They did very well, particularly Vivek Kumar, who bowled so well and got many wickets. And Mr. Hazare was the chairman of the selection committee, said that India has got a good leg break and googly bowler now at Subhash Gupte, who was a fine slow bowler. During our selection committee meeting, we used to have a lot of discussions, but we come to a conclusion as unanimous. Just imagine, Milkha Singh played such a wonderful game against Dexter's team at Pune. He was playing for the Madras University. He did so well. And being a left-hander, any left-hand batsman is much more useful for any cricketing side. Therefore, automatically he found a place in the team. I'm so happy to tell you that did well, but sometimes to our disappointment, to disappoint of everyone of Madras, Some of them they didn't come off well, except Kripal Singh. When Milkha Singh played in that Dexter's match at Pune, he sprained his ankle. He started limping. Immediately he was asked to go to Madras, have a treatment. He had a good treatment. Then he was selected, he came back to Madras. During the net practice, then Adhikari was the captain of the Indian team. Adhikari came to me, Mr. Gopal, I find Milkha Singh is limping. Please find out from him whether he will be able to play. If he finds little difficult, we can drop him, we can take somebody else. When I asked Milkha Singh, he said, we're perfectly all right. Most probably he had his own fear. If he couldn't get a place, or if he wouldn't have played that match, he may not get the chance for future matches. What happened? He played that match, we lost the toss. We started fielding first. He was fielding more or less in extra cover. A ball went towards him, he had to chase it. Suddenly when he stopped to pick up the ball, he twisted his ankle again, he started limping. That was the time we had to come back to the pavilion. For 4.5 days he was inside the pavilion. When he went in for batting, because people have heard and seen Milkha Singh playing that Pune's match, the whole spectators stood up and clapped. And he went in for batting because that particular leg couldn't do properly action. He gave a simple catch and came back to the pavilion without doing anything. And for 4.5 days he had to be in. Kumar, he had something on his toe. He too didn't come off. After some time he found it difficult to bowl. And Kripal Singh played well. Just imagine, in Bombay particularly, to get a chance from South is very difficult, because then the Bombay people are supposed to be on top in cricket.
Yes, it's a very, that way cricket is very, one has to have a lot of luck to do the right thing at the right time. As you said, they got the opportunity, but unfortunately, one thing or the other, it could be injury or it could be a bad wicket or whatever it is, obviously they could not make the best of those chances. But tell me, as a selector, I mean, we all know, we have heard and about selection committees taking a long time and having a lot of arguments. Did you have any serious problems when you're a selector along with your colleagues in the selection committee? Was there a lot of pressure on you or about players or selections?
None. I'm happy to tell you nobody has had such kind of ideas of pressing anyone to say or side on whenever support a boy. And everybody, we used to discuss one another, good and bad, about individuals, and then we come to conclusion. It was a unanimous choice for a team, even though you used to discuss about individuals for some time.
Oh, that's a very healthy trend when the decisions are finally unanimous. There's only one question I'd like to ask you on this basis of how the selectors elected. In India, it's, as you mentioned earlier on, each geographical zone has one representative, and that's how we have 5 selectors now for 5 zones. It's a good idea in the sense that every part of the country is represented. But what it does appear sometimes to tend to happen is that each selector tries very hard to push or to try to get players from his particular zone into the team, and sometimes the interests of the country could be sacrificed in trying to get more players from your own zone. From that point of view, I've always wondered whether this kind of representation from each region is a good thing or a bad thing. What do you think of?
Those days they used to fight for their zonal players, but still, as far as I'm concerned, I used to mention other than the southern side, and coming to the last, I used to give suggestions about our chaps. The same way the other selectors also, taking into consideration of the majority of their own zones, if there is any place left over, they might side me.
I think it's a very, after all, basically once you are a selector on the All India Selection Committee, the ultimate object must obviously be to select the best team for the country,
Correct.
which will go and win a match,
Yeah.
rather than how many players come from various zones. I mean, but unfortunately, the method of election could tend people to look at it that way. But anyway, there it is.
But as far as I'm concerned, what you say is just true. We wanted to have a very big side. But as far as the other selectors are concerned, I can't read out their mind.
Now, I thought, coming back to personal things, who is the best bowler you've played against on the other side, who bowled against you, who you found difficult to face? I mean, who in all your career, who would you rate as one of the best bowlers you have played?
The Clark who came here along with Jordan's team when I played him in Calcutta. Of course, I was a reserve for the Madras Test. I played against him. I found it very difficult. I mean, his length and direction is so good.
Was he moving the ball a lot?
Very moving. Being a left-hander, very natural swing, particularly when you play in Calcutta. The atmosphere is such, I mean, you can easily swing the ball any way you want to. But secondly, and I had to play, those days we used to have a quadrangle match in Bombay between Hindus, Muslims and Parsis. We used to play Mohammedans, Nizar. Nizar, the fastest bowler then in India. And we played against him. I found it very difficult.
He was very fast.
Oh, very fast, very fast. As I already told you, I mean, the speed we can't compare with Kapil Dev at the moment. The fastest man I come across.
And one more question on this particular subject. Who was the most, again, whether it's a foreign tour or foreigner or in India, or who you found most difficult to bowl to? Who was the best batsman that you have bowled to?
I mean, the early stage is when I bowled against H.E. Ward. And H.E. to bowl against him was very difficult. He was playing for MCC. Whenever he played the presidency match, I used to bowl him, and every time he used to hit me six. Therefore, very difficult to bowl him. He used to adjust himself so well. And the same with Amarnath. Amarnath is such a great batsman and good all-rounder. They're very difficult to bowl for him. And another thing, the greatest batsman I have come across is Sekhar Naidu, Colonel Sekhar Naidu. To bowl for him any good length, he'll smash it. If you find it, the ball is in top and batsman, he'll step out and bang. And they lose the heart of the batsman.
So aggressive and so quick.
Oh, very, yes.
And they can convert a good length ball into perhaps a half volley and hit it outside the ground.
But Mustaq Ali is supposed to be very good. He has played so wonderful cricket against other bowlers. But I had no chance to bowl much against him.
Well, Gopal, moving on to your post-retirement from active cricket, I've read somewhere that you did go to Darjeeling on an assignment in 1968. And in fact, you spent 1 or 2 seasons there. What exactly did you do in Darjeeling? Did you coach schoolboys? Or in what sort of, what did you do? In what capacity did you go to Darjeeling?
Very surprisingly, I got a letter from the principal for St. Paul's High School and asking me to go over there. Maybe due to the recommendation made by one of the sons of Venkat Ramanujulu, because his sons, they were reading there. And I was asked to go over there. I used to go during summer, that is April and May. Stay there for 2 months, just coach the youngsters, put them in the way, very young ones. And they used to have competition between schools there. They had about 4 or 5 schools. Every Saturday, Sunday or weekdays, they used to go and play one another. They had a shield, which was the team they got. And just like our league matches, they had the league tournament also.
This is inter-school?
Yeah.
Inter-school.
Inter-school. And every year, I was there for 2 months. More or less, it was holiday for me,
Yes, during summer, Darjeeling
I
is quite
didn't tell you the climate and other thing. So nice people, everything found and no difficulty at all. The only thing, the communication coming from there to down here, it might take 4 or 5 days. That's all. That's the difficulties. They had made all the arrangements to go over there, and those days no difficulty at all. 2 years I was there. The 3rd year, my wife said, "Oh, it's all right. You can drop it. It's no good going over there every time." I said, "Okay."
Well, you should have taken her with you.
No, very difficult adjustment.
And did you find this an interesting thing, coaching schoolboys?
Very, 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 very keenly. Whatever you tell, they're very obedient chaps, and whatever you tell them, they take it. and he used to play with them, and he used to bowl against, those chaps, and give them good fielding practice and net practice and physical training.
Well, that was your couple of seasons or summers that you helped youngsters to be coached and learn the game.
Yeah.
And tell me, when did you get involved with the Cricket Association in Madras, and how long were you there?
I can tell you I got involved nearly about 25 or 26 years, when sometime after C.V. Johnson being a chairman of the selection committee, I acted as chairman of the selection committee for the state for some time, and then they made me the vice president. I was there nearly about 25, 26 years. During that period also, I was doing that chairman's job for selecting the team. When I was there, I used to see the boys playing in the net to give them instructions and advise them what to play and how to deal with. And it was so nice thing for them to give me a chance. And I retired after that. Retired means I said when Siraman came to me asking me to stand one more year, I said I was there for a wrong time. Therefore, better any youngster to take over a place, therefore step down. And in my place, I think Balakrishna or somebody came in my place.
I think you served the Tamil Nadu Cricket Association as selector for many years, and chairman of the selection committee for quite some time.
And vice president nearly the same time
for many years. Yes, a long association. And when you were in the association, how did you like being what one might call on the other side of the fence, in the sense from the playing side to the administration side?
Our TNCA's administration side, it was and it is a wonderful one, because Mr. Chidambaram, our president, he was a key man and is a key man now, as a big backbone for Madras cricket. He has taken so much of interest. But for Mr. Chidambaram and Shraman, this wonderful stadium wouldn't have come up. Mr. Chidambaram has taken so much of pain going about, getting all the architects, finding which is the best one we can put up here. Having finished it, it looks so nice, and TNCA have given me a chance to say something, and I have the honor to name that stadium after the finish, named after Mr. M.A. Chidambaram. Now it's called M.A. Chidambaram Stadium, Chepauk.
Yes, and I think the main gate is also, if I may say so, called M.J. Gopalan Gate, which was certainly a nice gesture, and to feel that one going into Test cricket, you enter by the M.J. Gopalan Gate is a nice feeling.
I don't know, I didn't expect that thing would come off. And I was informed by Secretary and Worthy President Mr. M.A. Chidambaram that the gate, you will have to open the gate on such a date. In the morning it was a very rainy day, and in the evening it was drizzling. And then during the drizzle, I had to open the gate.
It's very auspicious, isn't it?
Very, very auspicious time. And when I opened, President and Vice President office bearers, even though it was drizzling, they came along with me as if we are going in a procession for a marriage or anything, with a Nagaswaram or all sorts of music. And I was fortunate during that period, many of the club representatives also attended the meeting. And during that meeting, I was presented a gift for my remembrance for having served in the association as vice president for so many years, given by our worthy president, Mr. M.A. Chidambaram. I was lucky. I mean, the gate should be open on my name. I didn't expect that.
I think it's a great honor.
Yeah.